All right, so here's the diagram that I have promised. So this is my, what I call the pebble in the pond ideal client. Picture when you drop a pebble in a pond, right? It's going to land. What happens next? You have that ripple effect, right? That goes out and goes out and goes out. In the center of that pond is your ideal client. That is the person that you've worked so hard on to find out what they like, what they don't like, all of the different attributes of what makes them the perfect client for you. You can solve their problems and all of that, right? So I'm going to give you an example of a lady that I worked with years ago. She had a boot camp, a weight loss boot camp. It was an in-person thing. And she'd been doing it for a short while. She was trying to get opt-ins, and her opt-in was a 200-page booklet on nutrition. It really didn't speak to any particular client. It was very generic, and she didn't even have one opt-in. The first thing we did was an ideal client exercise, and she found out she's a very busy mom. She had 4 kids. She had this boot camp business, and she also worked part-time in her parents' business, married, was shuffling the kids off to like baseball and dance and whatever else. And so, her concerns were, how do I get nutritious meals and snacks on the table quickly? As a busy mom, she had a specific set of challenges, right? So we found out that that was really her ideal client. She had a bunch of other busy moms in her boot camp because she was able to speak to them easily. She knew their thoughts. She knew what their fears were. She knew what their challenges were. So it was super easy to talk to those people, whether it was, speaking directly, whether it was blog posts, emails, whatever it was. She knew how to talk to those folks. What we also discovered was that she had in the secondary audience, in that first ripple here, she had a couple of busy dads, right? So when you think about it, same attributes as the busy mom, right? Full-time job, wife, 4 kids, whatever, but they were male. Now, I know some of you don't believe that male and female need to be marketed to differently, but in certain industries, you kind of do. In this case, with body and working out and things like that, it may have been slightly different. They were very closely related, still had one difference. In the third audience type, she had a few single women. Now, the single women that she had were still very busy, full-time jobs. They had all kinds of other things. One was planning a wedding, so she had that, was very busy. She wants to fit into the wedding dress, lose some weight there. So she still wanted to lose weight, but she had different motivations than the busy moms did, right? In the fourth audience, she had, believe it or not, some bodybuilders. So a couple of the guys they worked out in the gym all the time, lifting, but they needed to reduce their body fat. They needed to get outside, do some hiking, things like that. So they joined her boot camp. And then in the last audience, she had a couple of older ladies, grandma type people. They were retired. They could spend all day planning their meals and, going to any workout class they wanted because it didn't matter what time it was. So when you look at it as a whole, all of these clients had one thing in common, and that was to lose weight, but they all had very different motivations for doing so, right? So the problem was she was trying to market to all of these people at the same time, and it just doesn't work that way. So what I told her to do instead was stick only to the ideal client, only market to those busy moms. That's it. No other people. Don't try and market to the bodybuilders. They're not the moms, right? These people are still going to lean in and listen, and they're not the ideal client, but they're still going to buy from you, right? Just like hers did. So only ever do content, marketing, ads, whatever you're going to do to attract those people, only ever pick this person to talk to. The other people are still going to buy. And the other problem is, even if you did try and market to those other people, once you get them as clients, they're going to expect different things, right? They're going to expect that you're going to serve them as opposed to this ideal client. I actually was in a mastermind about 1.5 years ago. I knew right up front I wasn't their ideal client, but I purchased anyways because I saw things in that mastermind that would serve me, but I wouldn't have dreamed of asking them for something different because that's not, I was taking what I needed from this mastermind, but I knew at the same time that I wasn't their perfect client based on the types of marketing they did to me. Does that make sense? So yeah, hopefully that sort of diagram makes some sense to you guys with the types of clients that you will see in your greater pool, but you never want to market directly to them. The only time I would say that you could kind of put out content that would maybe see if there's another type of client is in your pre-opt-in stage to test out. Like, let's just say Facebook or LinkedIn or somewhere, you did a post that kind of called out a secondary or a third type of audience as a test, because you always want to be continually testing, right? I would say that almost everybody I've ever met has at least two audiences, an ideal client audience and a secondary audience. However, you still always want to market to your ideal client, never to your secondary. Hopefully that makes sense.